Now that our drain piping system is done, there is a code requirement that we need to pass a pressure test on this. The inspector actually has to see this system under pressure, make sure it's not leaking, and that will make sure that we never have leaking drain pipes in the future. I have this little setup here. It is a T that I've used for several pressure tests. This will technically go into my sink drain, and then I have knockout caps and plugs in the whole rest of the system that will allow me to put air pressure in these pipes. Now there's two ways to do this. You can either do 5 PSI air, which is a low pressure air, or you can fill the whole thing up with water. I'm actually gonna do both. But before I fill it up with water, I'm gonna try the air test. The inspector actually asked for the air test. He wants to see the 5 PSI air. I guess it's easier for him to inspect. But I'm gonna do the air test in case there's any major blowouts. The whole system's not full of water. We don't end up with 40 gallons of water in the upstairs of the house. Here's my setup here. I have this neat little bushing that fits inside of a 2-inch pipe. I'm actually gonna put a coupler on there so I don't have to waste so much pipe when I cut it off, and I can reuse this thing. And then my T gauge here, this is kind of a high pressure gauge, but I brought this gauge with me. This is a low pressure tire gauge, just 15 PSI max. I'm just gonna use this to fill basically, and then this will be my pressure checker. As always, my threaded connections, I have learned to use both Teflon tape and pipe dope.
Underground piping?
The water test is actually more strenuous than this 5 PSI air test because of hydrostatic pressure and how that works. So basically, the higher you go, greater your hydrostatic pressure at the bottom gets. And we have about a 26-foot tall pipe right here. And when you work out the math, it's actually like 11 or 12 PSI at these joints right at the bottom here. Now we've done a whole nother video on pressure testing the pipes underneath the slab, because that was a requirement before we poured the slab, to make sure that those didn't leak, and those are all good. Everything above this slab is going to be tested with this test here. So we're gonna do the air first, just as a qualification run. We might have the inspector come and observe the air test, and then I'll do the more stressful test, just so that he's out of our hair if I do have to fix anything. But with this setup and this bushing, I should be able to do both. I have a hose bib connection that can screw into this 1/2-inch bushing, just like this T-fitting did. Now that our pressure test rig's on, let's go around and make sure that we have all the rest of the system totally plugged off so we can pressurize it. First order of business is this floor drain. I put a union in this pipe so that I could take this off, and I should be able to plug this with a standard 2-inch plug. We'll see. Do not drop those screws down the drain. Little tiny guys. Oh, this is dirty. It's dirty, dirty, and gross. Try to make sure it's kind of clean, or else this little rubber seat won't seal. This clean out is plugged with tape and pipe dope. That clean out is plugged. This is for our kitchen sink. Tighten that up a couple turns. These are the plugs I'm using. They work just by compressing these 2 cones that have a rubber washer around it and forcing the washer to expand, and then plugging the pipe. They work fantastic for pressure tests. I got our shower over here. Toilet's got a knockout on it. Vanity sink. Tighten this baby up. It's nice and tight. And then finally our washer, where our air admittance valve goes, has got a test cap on it. And this washer standpipe has got a knockout as well. So I think we are sealed. As I go, I'm also doing a double check that I see primer, which hopefully means there's glue, at every single joint in this whole system, because if there isn't on one, it might get through the pressure test, but at some point that joint's gonna leak. All right, we figured out our solution for how we're gonna get that thing in. I got my buddy Shane here. He's gonna prime and glue. I'm gonna go up on the ceiling, plug that thing, and then push down on it. The very last point of the system we have to seal is the one right out to the septic system. Now, very stupidly, I glued this pipe on, forgetting about the fact that I'd have to seal this off somehow. So excuse me while I cut this joint real quick. I'm gonna have to couple it back together later. Multi-tool just makes that way too easy. Now check this little contraption out. I found it on supplyhouse.com. It's an inflatable test plug. This works from a 3 to a 4-inch pipe, and I got a 3-foot extension hose on it. You're supposed to blow this thing up to like 40 PSI, and it should plug the heck out of that pipe. We're gonna see. Hopefully I can get it down in this. This is a sanitary T, and I actually want to go the opposite way of the T, so hopefully I can get this down in here. It's got this little chain on it too to make sure you don't lose it down the dang drain. Luckily there's no poop in our septic tank yet, so if I have to climb in there, it wouldn't be the end of the world, I guess. All right, here's to hoping. See, I gotta make it go that way, because if I go that way, all the pressure's just gonna escape out this hole, and I can't seal it with this little guy in the way. You know what, I might need to get this air extension off of here temporarily. Please make this turn. Please make this turn. Oh, nice. Now I gotta get this air extension on it. Oh, this might be a challenge. Might be a complete feel kind of thing. All right, new approach. Oh yeah, I think we got her. Let's go. Oh, please make this bend and don't hurt the piece. Don't hurt the tool. Hopefully I can get this thing out when it's all said and done. Oh shoot, think we got her. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that worked. Test plug says for it to work, it's got to be inflated to 40 PSI, which seems a little bit high to me, but that's what's stamped right on the thing, so we're gonna go for it. All right, I got it pumped up, but I can hear a very slow leak, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on this, make sure this stays at 40 PSI, or else all of our pressure is going to come right out here. All right, let's quick inflate it on the inside and see what happens. I'm just gonna go till this big gauge just barely moves off the needle, because it is quite a volume of air that this has got to fill. Oh, that's 3 PSI right there. You can see that upside down. Okay, so just a little bit more, that should do it. Okay, just above 5, I'm gonna take it right down to 5. Crap, I heard a pop outside and this just went to 0. Well, that is not good. This thing got blown back quite a ways. I hope it didn't just damage the thing. You okay, hose? I'm sorry. This is losing pressure, that was our issue. We gotta figure out a way to make that not leak. All right, gave that little nut a couple more turns, pumped her up again, and I'm gonna stick a piece of PVC and a piece of wood down here so that if or when that does blow out again, we don't risk totally ruining this thing. All right, it's been about 5 minutes. We're just under 5 PSI. Maybe there's a small leak somewhere. Got my handy leak detector test here. So I'm gonna brush it sort of on the joints, on the plugs, see if our test setup might be an issue. And there was a couple suspect glue joints that I wanted to investigate, especially up towards the big 3x2 T in the middle, so I'm gonna check those out too. This joint right here is a little bit sus, as the kids say, because I had to push this pipe in from the 2nd floor, so I'm gonna hit that with the leak detector a little bit too. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I feel like if there was any major leaks, I would probably know by now. I'm gonna let it sit a bit more and then it'll be on to the water test. All right, we're about 25 minutes later here and we are just over 4 PSI. So we're about a PSI lost in 20 minutes. Not sure if that's acceptable or not. I can't find any major leaks upstairs or down here. There must be some amount of air coming somewhere, probably coming past that plug in the main sewer pipe, but I'm gonna ramp it up and do the water test now. This should be a much more obvious indicator if something's wrong. So I'll keep my plug where it's at. I just have to remove the roof plug. Oh, I hope I can get this without a wrench. There we go. Taking this cap out will allow the water to flow out and that I can see what's going on. Gosh, what a view from up here. Beautiful. I ran the math on how much more pressure this is, and at my test balloon, it is 10.4 PSI because I have 24 feet of head until the top of that stack. So it's actually about double the stress test on these lower fittings. And of course, it gradually eases in pressure as it goes up. But on these lower fittings, I'm gonna really be keeping an eye out for if I have any sort of blowout. That would not be good because it would flood the whole space with, I don't know, 30 gallons of water at least it's gonna be inside this pipe, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen. So I have to let quite a volume of air out of this system for it to go down in pressure. Crap, I just realized these are both males. Well, just realized I have a male connection on my pressure tank and a male connection here, and a male and female hose, just a regular garden hose. That's not gonna work. So now I'm waiting on Elena to go get me a female to female coupler from Home Depot. And this is the story of my life. She rescued us on her birthday. Happy birthday, sweet baby. Okay, moment of truth. I'm gonna open this valve, open this, and we will slowly start to fill this whole system with water. My test plug seems to be holding out here. I haven't refilled it with air since I did the air test. So we're not really gonna know this is full until it starts pouring off the roof. So I'm just gonna wait out here and wait for water to start coming off the roof. An alternative is one of these plugs lets loose upstairs and we flood the heck out of the whole house. So it's hope that doesn't happen. Uh-oh, I think I hear something. Thought I heard something. Hey, all right, shut it off. Just narrowly missing our brand new AC condenser. Don't hear any gushing leaks anywhere in here yet. Let's go inspect upstairs.
Yeah, it's definitely a leak.
Something's leaking. Where are we leaking? Oh, is it really coming out of that fitting right there?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. You're sure? Is it wet up here?
No.
You can almost even see how it pulled out from where the glue was. So this is the one that I had Shane help me do because I was up on the roof while he was down here and he did the glue and then I pushed, but it was really hard to push it. It was really tight through that roof boot. It is what it is. I guess I'll have to figure it out. Yep, it's most definitely leaking from that joint. Well, that's a bummer. Every other joint up here looks good. It's just that darn 3-inch main pipe. So we're gonna have to figure something out a little bit creatively with that. Probably replace that 45 elbow and then use some sort of sliding repair coupler so I don't have to do the same thing with pushing that pipe down through the roof because it was just too stiff, it didn't want to go. And that's why it didn't cure right. So life lesson learned the hard way. Plumbing inspector informed me of another leak right here. I think it's just the plug. Yeah, it's just coming out of the plug. I'm gonna try to tighten that just a hair more. Well, that's a major bummer, but it is what it is. I feel like you can't get past any pressure test without at least one leak. So I already got some couplers on the way. Now I gotta figure out how to drain everything out of this hose here, and I don't have a floor drain, so this might be a little bit messy. All I got is your hand in my hand. Maybe I could die. I've been man. Round 2 tomorrow when those couplers come in. All right, here's my fix for the leak. I'm going to cut this here, cut this here. I have a standard straight coupling that I'm gonna place here, replace this 45 right here, and then instead of trying to mess with this pipe anymore, I got a rubber Fernco, which I'll slide up. I'll have a short stub of pipe coming off this, slide back down and tighten. I should have done this from the start. I'm not sure what I was thinking. There should never be any water flowing through this. It's just a vent pipe, so Fernco should be just fine. The repair is made, it's time to pressure test this thing again. But first, let's fix the massive hole in this stud that I drilled mistakenly. Good as new. I'll leave it in there for funsies. Here's a note for the future remodeler. Here's that joint that was leaking from the inside. You can definitely see there's about a 1/2 inch left of engagement. It's still needed. Close, but no cigar. Let's get this thing filled up again. Let's see if she leaks. I'm an idiot. My floor drain was loose and I don't have the plug in the outside. So not gonna be filling anything up until I fix that. Okay, it seems to be holding steady now. I just tighten it up a hair. Sound like it's leaking? Wow, that's pretty crazy. I hear dripping into the septic tank way over there. That's amazing. Second time's the charm, hopefully. I'm just going full blast. Hopefully I don't regret that. I hear it rising. It's going up through this pipe right here. That is really kind of eerie. I hope it doesn't burst anything up there. Let's go check it. I redid this threaded plug and that seems to be holding so far. Keep an eye on it. For the magic signal, and there it is. Well, no obvious massive flooding yet. How are we doing up here? Everything seems dry. Oh, you can actually see this thing bulging. Oh my gosh. It's definitely full of water. So with that minor repair, we appear to be officially pressure tested. I guess it's not official until the inspector sees it, but I got to get the supply plumbing run before I call him over. And then plumbing rough-in is completely officially done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.